RedLynx, now Ubisoft RedLynx, is a small Finnish developer that got their start with a little 2D motocross game called Trials. They worked on other stuff for a number of years, several N-Gage games, a Warhammer 40k game for DS and PSP, but largely came into relevance with the Xbox Summer of Arcade smash hit Trials HD, and since Trials has become almost entirely what they do. Trials Fusion is the fifth mainline Trials game, and it's another wacky physics time trial game, but with a futuristic setting, lots of DLC following its Ubisoft acquisition, and an endless amount of Easter eggs, and released for the PS4, Xbox 360 and One, and PC in 2014. Trials Fusion is a deceptively simple game, just a man, his bike, an accelerator, and a brake. And to be fair, early on it really is that simple mostly. But this is a wacky physics game. Keeping the bike level is hard enough, keeping it at perfect angles to not lose speed is even harder. Through the easy and medium levels, this is pretty much enough to get by, but Trials is pretty evil and will eventually force you to learn the tech. Endless amounts of tech. Wall riding up steeps, hopping the front or back tire to get over lips, these are often combined with each other somehow, and every bike is rear wheel drive, so that adds to the complexity, bunny hopping to get more horizontal distance and just a tiny bit of height off jumps, balancing and rolling off of tiny points, maintaining wheelies to increase speed because of lowered friction, and this is just the stuff I can kinda do. The insane level tracks are sheer madness of crazy tech and semi-glitches that the community found and the developers gladly embraced. Wheel wall rides into bunny hops, into rev tapping, into somehow ending up on top of a semicircle shaped ramp. It's utter craziness. Of course, for me and other casual players, this game isn't totally uncrackable. The insane levels house most of these really crazy tricks, and you can 100% make it to the end without anything like this. All these tricks will absolutely give you better times and can be necessary or very helpful, as every level has 3 side missions, some wacky little secrets obtained by reaching difficult areas, usually resulting in some kind of silly cutscene or minigame like a Marble Madness clone or Penguin Tennis, some more challenge-based like maintaining a wheelie through a certain part of the level, not using the stick to adjust angle at all for an entire level, setting yourself on fire and keeping up enough speed to not die from it, and some stuff that's in between, like secret portals that flip the screen horizontally and vertically, turn you invisible, or turn you into a flying rocket that steers like complete ass. A lot of these fall into stuff you can only do if you know all the tech, but a lot of them are worth using the little hints to look around for and try on a first run before you go for time ranks, as plenty of them are very accessible, and even when they aren't, this game loves making unique little death scenes for a ragdolling little biker that are always a good time. Most of the time trial stuff is very hardcore. The people who play this game seriously take it very seriously and they know every single thing. But even so, it does feel pretty satisfying to go for the gold ranks, which are definitely difficult but attainable for normal people outside of the insane tracks. The bronze and silver medals are usually pretty free, but there's a satisfaction to getting good enough to hit a gold time with minimal deaths and minimal time loss. The game is also peppered with little deviations. Each world has a trick challenge that plays with the otherwise not very useful trick system in a high score style mode that is pretty entertaining, although I think it does get a little old that it's pretty much the same thing every world, and a unique skill game designed just for that world, which are always worth taking a shot at because they're usually pretty fun little challenges that are something different from what you normally do, seeing how far you can get in an insane gravity shifting track, or how far you can launch yourself off a ramp, or maintaining a constant speed minimum to keep from exploding, and so on. Especially with a friend, these can be a great little competition that's not as laser focused on time trialing and knowing every obscure tech, although once again those are going to be a great help if you're actually trying to go for the platinums and even some of the golds. The game offers a few bikes that have their use come in and out depending on the track. Some of the crazy tracks are clearly designed for some bikes and not for others. The starter bike, the Baggy, is quickly outclassed by all but the joke bike, the Donkey. The Roach is both faster than the Baggy and has better air control, and the Pit Viper is the fastest bike in the game and necessary for basically any high-level time trial play. The Foxbat is the trick bike only used in the trick competition levels with unparalleled air control. The Panda is very heavy and has 4-wheel drive. I absolutely love using this, but I kinda don't know what the point is since it's only usable in like 5 levels, if that, although those 5 levels, it is the most fun thing ever. And the Rabbit is an unmotorized bike, which is very slow but ridiculously lightweight and maneuverable to the point that a lot of otherwise very difficult tricks are made much easier by it. Although it can get walled off by large enough jumps in some levels, and it's certainly not going to win you any time trial medals. Truthfully, the selection is a bit wasted. Outside of some niche panda and rabbit-centric levels, the game largely wants you on the Pit Viper, and the game is largely balanced around it, although they do occasionally balance something around a different bike, and progress is much harder without it. The game also has a few side things to do. Challenge points can go towards character and bike customization, and there's a level editor which is extremely robust and allows for turning pretty much any object in the game, including like buildings, into a track, and has allowed some of the most devious people ever to go wild with tracks even the developers weren't evil enough to make. Fusion doesn't change much level to level. The futuristic setting serves as a through line that keeps things fairly consistent. The game just kind of gets new elements as it goes, like portals that spit you out somewhere else, collapsing platforms, elevators, some of which go up so fast they literally launch you, fans that blow you around. You get it. The core gameplay stays the same in the swamps, ancient temples, snow, volcanoes. There's one level that takes place in a tornado with some floating chunks of debris, and futuristic cities that make up the entire game. And the gameplay stays its same fantastic self throughout all of that. Of course, this is an Ubisoft game, so it had DLC and a good amount of it. 8 in total, 6 of which are semi-standalone packs that were all bundled together in the Season Pass, and which I think follow the story of the game up. I'll get to that soon. Riders of the Rustlands is kind of a Mad Maxy one. It has a sort of post-apocalyptic thing going on with a few unique gimmick levels based around the collapsing of the derelict tracks, much like how the Mega Cancer final level, Inferno 4, is the collapsing ruins of the tutorial area. Empire of the Sky takes place in a series of futuristic flying cities. Welcome to the Abyss is a series of levels in Atlantis with some weird lore stuff going on, Atlantean scientists testing the rider and all that. And it has some interesting mechanical stuff like platforms that rise up from the sea and these big like orb things that when touch activate other things and teleporters and the like. I thought this one was very good by and large, probably my favorite of the DLC packs as far as the first 6 go. Fire in the Deep is all fire, volcanoes and smelting factories primarily. Very interesting looking, nice lighting, and intense. Fault 10 has a storyline about a robot revolution, which offers some fairly unique sections as the giant robots become or affect parts of the track. Also, I love the goofy little retro game inspired courses, which I think also appeared in the base game once. And After the Incident is an epilogue to the main game during the apocalypse, which has some continued lore, but is more a fun excuse to ride through the destroyed cities and collapsing tracks. The latter 2 DLCs come bundled together and are certainly a pair. RedLynx vs All Stars is a relatively huge pack of 22 courses featuring 11 by RedLynx and 11 tracks by community creators. And honestly, the creativity on both fronts is great. The tracks by random British people were almost as good as RedLynx's, despite being forced to build them with the level editor, and showed off a ton of neat little tricks I never would have guessed, and also got too mean for me at the end. Like the level where it gives the illusion of being pursued by the military. The RedLynx levels are certainly no slouch either, but of course, we kinda already knew what to expect out of them. Then there's Awesome Level Max. A fun pack that has the unfortunate fate of being a 2015 Reddit meme featuring a new vehicle, a fire-breathing badass unicorn being ridden by a cat dual-wielding golden desert eagles. It's embarrassing to look at, but I actually really like the levels here, which are all designed around the horse, which has 4-wheel, 4-hoof drive, with many of these levels having a unique fantasy theme, before eventually looping around into an alien invasion storyline, complete with a very janky and weird boss fight where you bounce on top of the invader while keeping from falling off of it to kill it. I never thought a game like this could have a boss fight, but they did it, and it kind of works. And then of course it ends in a gigantic trick section as you plummet back to the earth. If you can get past the general embarrassment of playing so hard into the cringe Reddit theming, like when everyone on Reddit loved Putin and always drew him riding bears and whatever cringe shit. Does anyone else remember that? That was a time. If you can get past that, it's actually a pretty cool expansion with lots of unique ideas and very, very long levels for the game, and it coming with All Stars bundled together makes it quite the dense bundle of fun and interesting ideas. Trials Fusion also makes up for its obvious budgetary limitations with its ideas. The game was a digital-only game thrown out by Ubisoft and does have that sort of early teens look to it. Kinda stock asset-y. A bit above that, but you know what I mean, you can see it on screen. But there's also a lot of creativity in the locations, some unique effects, and of course the ragdoll elevates it big time. Almost anywhere you can fall off your bike on the map has some kind of planned gag, a bomb in a funny spot, or something to land in that has the ragdoll flapping around, and every stage ends with a gag that kills the rider, like monster attacks, launching into a pool full of other bodies, sinking boats, and crashing planes. And we love a good ragdoll for comedic effect, and boy does this game deliver. Locational variety is also huge. The DLC takes it a step further, but even despite the futuristic through line, there's a ton of variety on display, and the backgrounds are quite nice. They did the Donkey Kong Country Returns silhouette over sunset thing. I would too if I was them, honestly. Snow stages, actual rally courses, sunsets, dimly lit cyberpunk cities, crumbling ruins, the tops of blimps above a futuristic city. The DLC takes you to a flooding city full of alien technology, giant mushrooms and knights appear in awesome level max, buildings burn down and fall apart as you drive through them. There's a ton of variety on every track that keeps things consistently fresh and offers little gameplay mix-ups theme to theme. There's really no lows. The fun the team had coming up with stages and stage themes is obvious every minute of the game, and it really helps keep the momentum up. That also extends to the funniest story this game possibly could have had. There's a lot of lore about a past society, a cataclysm, and two AI, Cindy and George, who spend most of the game arguing with each other about the fate of humanity. George is pretty done with humans, and Cindy wants her to keep going. Of course, all this is delivered over loud techno music and endless engine revving noises and the woos and screams of the rider, which offers a hilarious contrast. Even in the final course, as George attempts to destroy the world, all this lore and story is a big dumb gag about you being some dumbass on a bike going vroom 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 vroom, and it kills me. It's so fucking goofy and silly, I love it. The soundtrack of Fusion is very much a sort of industrial electronic thing. It's loud, bassy, very of the time, very much not my thing. I think the tracks fit the gameplay and world well, and there is an occasional catchy song or two snuck in, but it's gonna be something for people of a particular taste. Someone out there's just gonna go absolutely wild for this soundtrack and love it to death, but it isn't me. Trials Fusion is a simple joy to play, easy to pick up, simple to understand, and never changing its mind on what it is, outside of those little gimmick sections like the Marble Madness clone. Just asking you to keep getting better at the one thing it wants you to do to, frankly, absurd extents. The fact that you can push the time trials so far, and the fact that the insane levels exist at all, means that for people who are just obsessed with mastering something, this is like the game. It is a game with so much depth in all these little techs and weird wall writing tricks and odd physics gimmicks and just like all these things. If you are a perfectionist, if you want to master something, this might be the most addicting thing you ever play. The Ubisoftness of it can definitely be a bit off-putting. The amount of DLC, the notifications for long past updates and timed events, the UI looking like a cluttered mess, although in like a slick way. But there's just something so great about a simple concept taken to its absolute logical extreme. The game genuinely gets too hard for me. I can't clear a single insane course, let alone the dozen or so that exist between the base game and the DLC, and I have genuine amazement watching the skill it takes to push through those extreme courses, but even trying and failing is pretty fun. At worst, you're gonna see some funny ragdolls, and at best, you're gonna learn some of that crazy tech and nail an extremely hard trick, which is always immensely satisfying. The game is more than happy to keep throwing out new ideas, even if only as a joke like its entire story, and it's just a fantastic arcadey little game, a true joy to play from start to end.